We love Las Vegas food and for years have been covering the exciting developments in the city's diverse dining scene. The culinary offerings in Las Vegas span cuisines, styles, and budgets, with restaurants from some of the most recognizable culinary figures in popular culture, including Wolfgang Puck, Bobby Flay, Giada De Laurentiis, and Guy Fieri. We recently took a break from our usual programming to highlight an exciting and diverse lineup of Las Vegas chefs and restaurants. We've chatted with the biggest names as well as some rising stars who will be appearing on the marquee for years to come. Check out these really cool episodes in the This Is Taste podcast feed.
This is really like a food accessible town, but everybody just wants to know about the same 10 chefs over and over and over again, and that's not what it is. Like, people don't go out for that stuff. That's like the once a year, twice a year, like, can't get the reservation thing. That's not real Chicago.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Dennis Lee is the iconoclastic Chicago-based food writer and newsletter daddy behind two great sends, Food is Stupid and The Party Cut. On this episode, Dennis and I have a great talk about the Chicago restaurant scene, his unique place in food media, and how his Korean-American heritage informs so much of his work. We also dig into the Chicago hot dog and how it just might be one of the world's most perfect foods. Also on the show, Eliza and I, along with producer Clayton, pay a visit to the legendary Chicago hot dog stand, Superdog, for a This Is Taste field report. What a fun, tube steak-centric episode with a true original in the game. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Dennis Lee, welcome to This Is Taste. How are you, my friend?
Good. How about you, man?
I love seeing your face. I haven't seen you in a couple years, but I know you.
Yes. And we saw each other, for the Beard Awards a couple years ago? You were just here. You were here to...
Not winning a beard. Not that I'm thinking. That's like so not true. I don't care. Honored to be nominated.
Yeah, it was fun to see you. We went to go see your family's house.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we just had like a nice long walk that day.
I loved that. Out in the Farwell Pier, out in East Rogers Park. My dad grew up right on Columbia and Sheridan. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good day. I remember that.
It was a really good day. We had some Korean food, I think.
Yeah, we did
beforehand. But man, I'm so happy to talk to you. It's a long time coming. We've been talking for a couple of years about getting you into New York and to our studio. But man, we came to Chicago. We're here recording live in Chicago, in your hometown. And I just want to get a little bit about your history, writing, and really what you kind of stand for, which is like just like this extremely creative, voice-driven, left field view of food. I think it's really original, your original voice.
Chaos. I just embrace chaos. Whatever I can find and ruin for everybody, I basically just, that's my favorite thing to do.
It reads really well. Chaos can be a little bit tough to hang, but you figure it out. Let me ask you, Dennis, how did you get into food writing?
So my path into food writing, a lot of people kind of have like this, I don't want to say there's a one size fits all kind of career path for people, but I never intended to be a food writer ever. I was a big fan of the site Serious Eats back in the day when it was sort of coming up. And, it was a blog. So blogs are a lot easier to kind of like connect with, and, the voice is easy to follow along with. And I was leaving annoying comments in their comment section as a troll. like real troll. Genuinely, I was being a troll, but I wasn't being. I don't recall being mean. Like, I wasn't like one of those mean hit and run type troll people.
Was it like to Adam Kubin? Were you like Adam Kubin?
It might have been to Adam. It was just like all over.
Yeah.
Who I know Adam in person now, which I think is really funny. So, I'd been leaving these comments, and I guess the staff there actually had been reading them, and I didn't know. When you got the wall of the internet in front of you, you just got a monitor, so you have no idea whether or not people are actually reading this stuff. So they noticed I was leaving these comments, and one day somebody asked if I wanted to go out with the Chicago Reviewer to do to just check out a place and have a burger. So I was like, oh, of course, like this is the coolest thing ever. I'm nervous. We have go have a nice lunch and everything like that. And if I recall correctly, I asked to write like a little bit of the review.
Yeah.
Under my pen name or my screen name, which was Fart Sandwich.
Still to this day, Dennis, I call you Fart Sandwich when I'm referring to you. Go see Fart Sandwich in Chicago.
Yeah, that's how I think about everything. Fart Sandwich, like a food writer named Fart Sandwich. So I did just a little bit. Basically I just wanted to get this off my bucket list, was to be like, oh man, it's so cool. I can have something I've written up here. And then not too long after that, they were like, well, what do you think? And so I started getting opportunities to freelance for them. And
amazing. So you started actually filing for Serious Eats.
Yeah, they just were like, here, we got some stuff you can do. And sort of, I just went in, head first. I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh my God. Props to those guys for hiring you. That was to give you the shot.
Yeah. They, you don't make it wasn't about making money.
No.
I think it was like $25 a post or something like that.
Yeah, that's like the rate back then.
Yeah, which is fine, because then I got to say, hey, I'm paid for this.
Back to the fart sandwich. Is it a sandwich that causes farts, or is it a sandwich where the two breads are there and then there's farts as the middle of the breads?
I have never actually come to a conclusion on this.
All right, we can leave it at that. We don't need to dwell on this.
It's a spiritual fart.
It's a spiritual source. Okay. But going back before you started writing, you worked in restaurants a little bit.
Well,
worked the line where you did some cooking.
It actually came after I started writing about food.
Oh, right on.
So I had been writing about food for a long while, in a freelance sort of like here and there, write for blogs, write for a little local publication type stuff. And most of it the writing was just sort of, little piecemeal stuff. And I had never, ever, ever wanted to work in a restaurant. Ever, right. ever. And I don't, like a lot of writers have these sort of chef fetishes.
Yeah.
When you look outside, when you peek in from where we're sitting, it's just sort of like a glamorous performance or a tortured soul or whatever.
Right.
I didn't want to, because my parents were like, saying they look down on something like that is not.
It was not their preference.
It wasn't what they wanted for their son. They wanted their son to have a stable career and something that wasn't like, so volatile as a restaurant job or hourly or whatever. So I was in between jobs and I was like, oh shit, I need a job. So my friend Derek, who I think I met through the Serious Eats comment section, said he was going to open up an offshoot of Paulie G's.
Brooklyn.
Which is originally from Greenpoint.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn. And so I was just like, what? I don't have anything to actually do right now. I'm lonely. I'm home all day. So why not help him clean out the space? Just do all the little stuff and then apply for jobs during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he asked me, if I wanted to get on board to start and cook and do stuff for the restaurant. And I think I said no at first, because I knew I was just not ready for it. I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people around me were in their maybe late teens, early 20s. Mm-hmm. So I was like, and in your mid-30s, you're not old necessarily, but you also don't have the same mentality.
You thought you were too old to work at Paulie G's. Interesting. You thought that you were like maybe past like making a career change?
Kind of, but I was also just sort of like, this was a Band-Aid for a gaping wound in terms of my finances and stuff.
Right.
And I was horrible at making pizza. It took me like 6 months to kind of get into it, just because it's like a matter of practice, patience, and learning what like dough should feel like, what your pizza should feel like.
Yep.
Firing in a wood-fired oven is way different than putting something in a controlled oven where it's 550
in a
degrees.
Pan too, which
right.
Really creates this idea of like stability.
Yeah, in and out. But cooking with an open fire, every night is different. Yeah. Every pizza is different, so you have to learn a hard way.
So you ended up just firing pies. You were working a Neapolitan style pizzeria.
Yeah, 5 years. 5 years later, and it was partly because I had to, and partly because I had some joy in it, and a lot of it was just all this learning and stuff. But those were some really, really great years to learn stuff, and they were hard years.
Yeah.
I drank too much. I did all that stuff you hear about. It happened.
Yeah. It happened.
It happened. And
Wow.
it's like I think about it fondly, and but also it's sort of like it was just a hard time in my life. But I'm glad I did it. But a lot of writers don't get that.
Yeah, no.
Don't get to do it from that direction. It's usually they cook first, then they write. They don't do it the other way around. 'Cause they're not crazy.
And we're talking 5 years. It wasn't just like a stage or some dilettante exercise. What's it like back then working the line at Pauly G's in front of that 800-degree oven, making pies? Does it get to be like feel like a job and like really robotic, or is every day kind of a little wild?
Every day's a little different, but I think the one thing people don't talk about in restaurant culture really is if the day's kind of slow.
Yeah.
Because the pace really messes you up for the night.
Yeah.
Like you try to fill the time by cleaning up your station and tidying up, but you're still cooking for a live audience, people who trickle in during the night.
Let's transition to local writing. So you've launched The Party Cut on Substack. It's your second Substack. We'll get to your primary Substack. But I wanted to get a little bit into the local Chicago scene because you have a really unique point of view. You're from here. You have a lot of history with the city. You've written about it. We've just said you worked in the industry. And I want to get a sense, just broadly, Dennis, like what is mischaracterized about Chicago in the general media, in the New York City media, whatever you call it?
So I noticed that kind of traditional media focuses a lot on fine dining for some reason, and they cannot let go of this. It's the only thing that exists about Chicago aside from hot dogs and pizza and Italian beef sandwiches. To me, Chicago is sort of like the affordable kind of like, for two people under $80. Like you can go out regularly sort of thing. Mom and pop places, a lot of diversity in the food and stuff. This is really like a food accessible town, but everybody just wants to know about the same 10 chefs over and over and over again. And that's not what it is. Like people don't go out for that stuff. That's like the once a year, twice a year, like can't get the reservation thing. And that's not real Chicago.
Yeah, we're talking about like Alinea, we're talking about Grace, we're talking about the places that get the big reviews.
Yeah, the ones that always get these cool pictures and stuff. And I'm not that kind of eater. I'm just somebody who likes to go out for utility almost,
Yeah, I love that you say this sentiment. My dad grew up here. I've been coming here all my life, and I never knew it as a fine dining town. I mean, I never went to Charlie Trotter, unfortunately, and I never went to Alinea, but I went to the Bagel, like in the north suburbs. I went to what's it called? The Ann Sanders.
Oh, and Sathers.
Sathers, yeah, and Sathers. I used to go there. I mean, I'm just calling two things, but to me, it's a city of local people and people dining affordably.
Yeah, so when I go visit other cities, that's sort of how I just ask people I've met or online or something, and that's the kind of stuff I ask to do because that's, to me, the people who are even eating there reflect who you're going to be hanging out with, that city. One
story you did, right, and we will go back to one of the main Chicago foods, which is the hot dog. You wrote this piece for BA, Bon Appetit, and you wrote a great piece, and it was, really, it was on the cover of the magazine, your article. And I like to just get a sense, Dennis, like what makes, the Chicago hot dog like cover worthy?
So I have a lot of kind of opinions about why people are so fascinated with this thing still. It looks like it's just food in Technicolor. You look at it, it is like almost all the colors of the rainbow pretty much. There's like neon green colors, bright reds, bright yellows. And then with all of that on top of just this cartoony looking thing, it tastes that way too. Like,
take us through it.
So the traditional toppings on like a fully loaded hot dog, if I screw this up right now, I'm...
yeah. You're getting letters. You're at Fart Sandwich. You're sorry. Don't at Fart Sandwich, but you whatever.
So it's usually a Vienna beef hot dog, which is the big manufacturer around here. And you get yellow mustard, chopped onions, sliced tomatoes, this neon green relish that's unholy looking, a pickle spear, sport peppers, which are very specific to these hot dogs. You can't really get them outside of Chicago. and a little dash of celery
salt.
You can and cannot get it with poppy seed buns. It just depends on the place, how lazy they're feeling or whatever. That's really what it is.
How's the hot dog cooked?
So there's a mix. You can go to places that serve primarily steamed or boiled, or you can also go to places and on the menu it'll say char dog, in which case they'll char it on a grill. And with all of this on top of it, like all the flavors on top of each other, because it just puts flavor on top of flavor on top of flavor, but it doesn't hold back. It's like hitting you with a baseball bat every time you bite into it. You're like, this is impossibly salty, so savory, so sour, so sweet. So it's everything.
Yeah, you get a bite with the relish, and this is like a candy corn. Sweet.
Yeah. You're like, why? But then it's so intense. You're just like, this is hilarious.
You don't regret it. I mean, you never regret it. I mean, if you're going to Wiener Circle or going to any of the other spots that you've written about in this piece, you don't regret it. I mean, it's a really, you're not having them every day.
No.
Ideally, I mean, you could, but you don't regret a Chicago dog experience.
No, but ideally you don't have them every day, but they're weirdly one of the lighter Chicago foods.
It's true, actually.
Yeah, because, most of the volume is the toppings.
Yeah.
It's the one thing it's not light on is the salt, so you just got
it's if you have the salt-ish, Chicago's not your town.
Yeah, it's not a good blood pressure regulating town.
It's a well-seasoned town, we'll say. Transitioning to another Chicago food, I just got to ask you, why does everyone feel like it's okay to be a dick to Chicago deep dish pizza?
So I've recently been thinking about this also, and I think a lot of it has to do kind of with the same cartoonishness that a Chicago-style hot dog has, except for some people, the proportions of this deep dish pizza, instead of being kind of like a fun, like cutesy, sort of colorful hot dog type transformation, this one seems like a nightmare to people where you look into a funhouse mirror and you just stretch everything out about it. You just make everything big, like Alice in Wonderland style. You you take one pill to make everything absolutely enormous. So, and I think people like to malign it because inside they feel guilty about enjoying so much cheese, so much sausage, so much sauce, and some kind of bread that is just there to keep it all in one place.
Yeah.
So in their minds, they're like, this shouldn't be something people eat. And, how do Chicagoans eat this all the time? We don't, we eat it every now and then.
Yeah.
And so they just have this mean reaction to it, but it's also pizza. So combine that with the fact that people are really proud of the only pizza that they grew up with. They're willing to be real jerks about it.
I know.
It's really weird to me.
I've been one of those jerks, man.
Yeah.
I've been the dick. I've been on this show. Steve DeLindsey came on and was like, Matt, you don't know. He wrote me. And I was like, I don't. He took me out. I went to Millie's. I went to Pat's. Been to Pat's 3 times. And I see the light. And I got to believe even deep dish, even from the chains, is still something to celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, just last week, I had stuff from Giordano's, which is a big local chain that's also national.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had it in so long. And then my first bite, I was like, I love this.
So good.
I love this. And I love it specifically because it hits you like all those childish things that you want to fill.
Yeah.
We eat mozzarella sticks.
No doubt. We eat quesadillas.
Yeah.
We fill things with cheese and we love it because it's
Fry
good.
them and yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I don't understand that particular part about it. And, when people relax on that sort of thing, I'm like, all right, I did my job.
Yeah. I like it, and I'm one of those guys who's relaxed. And you are doing your job, but let's dig into pizza a little bit more and get a sense, Dennis. We'll say style agnostic. What is your favorite couple places for pie in Chicago?
So I'm a huge fan. We don't go there very often just because it's so far, but it's a place called Kim's Uncle Pizza. It's out, I think it's Westmont in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And they kind of retooled their thin crust pizza to be sort of a modernized tweaking of every single aspect of it, from the crust to the sauce to the sausage and all that stuff, because this is not an updated food. So they just did the little stuff, all the stuff under the hood, and then it's just an incredible pizza.
Wow. It was so interesting.
Yeah, this is the thin cut or thin crust party cut style, like the squares, and you eat either a little or a lot. I eat a lot.
Yeah. I'm bottomless pit when it comes to party cut style, thin crust, Chicago style, West Michigan style. I could crush 2 pies.
Yeah, because you
Come on.
It's light. It's like pizza light.
It's like going to a party and having appetizers for 5 hours, and like you just never get full.
Yeah.
But you constantly are having those appetizers, and it adds up to maybe like 2 pizzas worth of whatever.
And my other favorite now thin place is on the north side of Chicago. It's called Frank's Pizzeria, and nobody really talks about it. It just started coming back, I think, recently. Like online people were kind of reviving people's interest in it. I think it's in its 71st or 72nd year right now, but people still don't talk about it. Anyway, they do like the traditional, like classic version, like the old school, like again, same format.
Is it the one near Humboldt Park?
No, it's way further
Frank's.
northwest.
What is Frank's?
It's just this like old school joint with like that sticky, like red and white checkered tablecloth type plastic.
Oh yes.
Stuff where you like when you sit in the booth, you're like, I can't move because I'm fused to this thing.
And definitely like cash only probably at some point.
So at some point it probably was. And you're just like, and these pizzerias in Chicago, for some reason they do things like they serve fried chicken, ribs, pasta, just all this other stuff too for some reason. It's like the same roster of food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you know you're in the proper kind of
I love that
pizzeria.
That temperature check.
Yeah.
For pizza, it works if it has other items.
Yeah, and just like if there's wood paneling, you're also in the right place.
One more Chicago restaurant question, and man, we could talk all day about restaurants. Akahashi Ramen. What's going on there? I've seen a lot of press. It looks really good, but I haven't been. I think you've assessed it on Party Cut on your Substack. Tell me what's up with it.
So I've got a pretty good perspective on it because I know Mike.
Yeah.
And this isn't like I know the owner.
No, of course not.
But when I was working for Paulie's, I was able to go to Mike's house because I was with Nick Kindlesperger, who was the food writer or food critic for the Tribune back in the day. He invited me over to eat at his house. Mike Satinover, the owner of Akahoshi Ramen. And here's this guy. He's just this guy cooking out of his apartment, just obsessed with one subject. That's it. And the thing was, he was so obsessed, he was documenting all this stuff about ramen because he couldn't get the same style of ramen that he craved so much when he went to go visit Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So this dude just shared all his knowledge online, got a big fan following on Reddit. And, I told him, like, at Paulie's, where I was working, the restaurant's closed on Tuesdays. Maybe you want to talk to the owner and just do a pop-up. Just try it. Like, it's, if anything, it's sort of like one of those things you just do.
It's an amazing story. You encouraged him.
Yeah, I just encouraged him. And then, like, eventually he got the guts to do it. And then eventually the pop-up thing happened again and again and again. And it's just the hardest ticket to get because it's just him.
Yeah.
Basically,
he's doing like 100 bowls a night.
Yeah, something really manageable. But they were ticketed.
Yeah.
So just so he could handle it as him and a couple friends maybe. And then, at some point there's always that question like, you're really good at this one thing. Open the damn restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Mike had a really good job, as like a really good stable job. Mike's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
Everything he does well. But, this was that thing. And so he like decided he would just go for it. And so now that's why everybody is just obsessed with it.
They're pulling for him. I feel like he's part of the community and has done this style of ramen that everyone is enjoying.
Yeah. And unlike a lot of restaurant people, he was able to just use that momentum underneath him. Like some people just start a restaurant.
Yeah.
They don't think about their previous fan base or whatever. Like they don't have one. They just do it.
Yeah.
And then don't understand why not everybody comes in. But he already had so much momentum. It was sort of like it's just going to be a success right out the door.
How's the ramen?
Incredible.
Nice.
It's
What's the style?
So he does miso,
Yeah, that's what.
Sapporo style ramen. That's his flagship.
That's his flagship, right?
Yeah, and if you go, that's the one you should start with.
Yeah, I'm doing the miso like northern Hokkaido style ramen was very cool, and I think obviously Chicago loves ramen. I feel like there's been a cool ramen shop here forever, and it's nice to know that he's really doing it.
Yeah, and his is a little bit more cared for in that he makes the noodles and everything. I'm like,
He makes the noodles.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's got the machine in the window and you can look at it.
He's not doing sun. Wow, interesting. I like that. That's cool that he's going that far. It's interesting. I want to transition to your primary writing outside of the Takeout, where you're also an editor, but you write Food is Stupid, which is your primary Substack. You've got two. You've got Party Cut. You got Food is Stupid. And I mean, I want to ask you just first off, what interests you about home cooking right now, and that you write about on Food is Stupid?
So I think the one thing that people just don't talk about when you cook at home is how terrible your food can be.
Yeah.
Our jobs as food writers is sometimes to glamorize your outcome, like make it look like Instagram worthy or whatever. But, most of the time it's just like, all right, let's saute the spinach that's about to go bad with some garlic that's been on the counter for like 3 weeks. And,
that's like sprouting, the little greens.
Yeah, a little bit of green stuff. And you're like, am I going to like this? Probably not. But like, all right, well, at least I feel better about not tossing it. So, and that freezer burned chicken thigh you had you got on sale like months ago. So to me, that's real eating.
Yeah.
So I don't want anybody to get the illusion that, real life is what you see in a lot of what we have to characterize sometimes, So I embrace the mistakes.
Yeah.
I embrace disgusting stuff. I embrace things where you just feel horrible about what you eat. I embrace everything about food that isn't good, because I think that's such a huge part of it, if almost not like 90% of the experience is sort of some disappointment in what you're eating.
You come from that ethic for a lot of it, and I appreciate that. You also come from it, like I would say it's like a little bit of epic mealtime. You've got a little bit of this like stunt kind of nature to it, which I think is really fun. You make it really entertaining. You've done articles, cooking with cat food, which I think is fun. You have a real passion for Taco Bell, which we'll get into. What is it like for you then to cook with these like non-traditional pairings, like really non-traditional? And I feel like sometimes you make things that probably taste pretty good that maybe come from sources that aren't traditional.
Yeah. A lot of times it's just accidental. So I'm trying to think of it was another Taco Bell thing. It was like the Taco Bell's like Doritos Locos Tacos for Loco Moco.
Amazing. I know every element of that. I think our listeners do as well. That's amazing. Take us through it.
So I disassembled the parts of a Doritos Locos taco and then turned it into a Hawaiian Loco Moco and put Four Loko, the alcoholic beverage, into the sauce. and that one turned out really well. Like it shouldn't have, sort of, because you got this like corn syrupy like drink that's supposed to get you absolutely hammered in one can.
Oh man.
And probably get into a fight with your neighbor, kind of like.
Yeah.
And then you turn it into this like weird Taco Bell flavored rice with a burger patty and an egg on top. So every now and then I'll stumble on stuff that quietly underneath all the cooking was actually
pretty good.
Yeah.
But also kind of a fun play on words, like just having fun.
Yeah.
Just really enjoying. There's like a joyfulness with some of your writing.
Yeah. And it's really like, if I'm writing something, if I don't smile at just basically like the subject line or the header or whatever, if I'm not laughing right away, I don't write about it.
Yeah.
So like, if I were to tell you something that I had in the works or something, like I was thinking in my head about a cordon bleu recipe. So I made a gender reveal chicken cordon bleu. And
I love it. It's so good.
I told that to a friend, and like there was a silence. I just said the gender reveal chicken cordon bleu. And she just paused and then just busted out laughing, and it's like 5 words or something, like it's
It's very internet. But, I mean, you know how to write for the internet.
Yeah, pretty
in
much.
the greatest sense. I want to ask you about a recipe that you were so cool to allow me to publish in our new book, Korea World. And Dennis, I knew you had to be part of the project, and you really delivered with what is becoming one of our fan favorite recipes. The book's been out for a couple months now, the Taco Bell bibimbap. I love it so much. Thank you so much for letting us publish it. Take us through this great dish.
First of all, I looked. When I first got the copy of the book, I looked through all the other recipes. They're so earnest and so beautiful and then you see Taco Bell bibimbap, and I'm like, oh God, what did I do? Like, I'm like a sore thumb in this field of really beautiful recipes, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
No, I disagree. I think it was really a refreshing play on ideas, and also it represented our thesis of Korea World being modern and being presented in different spaces, not the traditional ajumma cooking. So.
Yeah, and so I see it as kind of like about the most global fusion thing you can, but I can't take credit for it because my wife figured this one out.
Give your wife credit.
So Davida, my wife, and I had just been with family, and we just did one of those takeout lunches with my parents and my sister, and just were hanging out. And one of the things that we had gotten was bibimbap, just takeout bibimbap. Just sitting around, and then so that was fresh on our minds. A couple days later, we were enjoying the greatest fast food on the face of this planet, Taco Bell, and she was having one of those power bowls, and she was looking at it, and she was like, you know what? When you think about it, a power bowl is literally just bibimbap, because they put all these little mounds of stuff, including rice, beans, protein, veggies, and stuff, and then there's sauce, which is essentially the same thing, like composure of a bibimbap bowl. Maybe no egg, but it's really just the overall broad thing. So I was like, oh, well, we have to put these two things together. So I just went to the store, got like pre-made panchan, side dishes. And
that's the best way to do bibimbap.
And then just made some fusion sauces real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The first bite was hilarious. Like, it's one of those things you take a bite of, and then you're like, how does this taste like exactly like Korean food and Taco Bell, 50-50 in one bite? Because you can taste kind of that not artificial, but that fast foody, like
it's like an MSG, like uber sodium that they have in the sauces.
Yeah. And then you're just like, it just tastes like Taco Bell and Korean food, and your brain's kind of angry at you, but it's so angry, like you can't help but laugh after you eat it. But there's one thing that I have not told you since the book came out.
Uh-oh.
They discontinued the Power Bowl.
Oh, I know. I did know that.
Yeah, but before everybody gets mad when they hear this, because who's got the book, they do have a replacement bowl called the Cantina Chicken Bowl.
Okay.
And I believe you can swap that out for steak if you want.
Interesting.
So it's basically kind of the same build, and you can do the same thing.
I think our readers, I think they're very smart. The Korea World book buyer can be resourceful and figure out the replacement.
Yeah, it's, Taco Bell couldn't exist without another bowl on their menu.
I agree fully. So let's keep on that topic, because I think you said it very well. It is one of our greatest food achievements in America is Taco Bell. And I imagine you've been to the test kitchen yourself.
I have not. I've always wanted to go, but I'm not cool enough to just go. They haven't invited me. So hey, Taco Bell, if you're listening, you may have to pay for the trip.
No.
I will shamelessly ask you.
I'm just saying, one of our listeners may work at Taco Bell. I've gotten some DMs, so I'm just saying, guys, Dennis is here. Let's make this happen.
Abuse my journalistic privilege and ask for my wife to come too.
No, definitely. This is a family affair, of course. I want to ask you, Dennis. Let's talk about some tough love, because I think we both love it. We go a lot. We have one in our town in upstate New York that we tend to go to quite often. I love the Chicken Cantina menu. I think they're doing a hell of a job. I've said this on the show before. Not paid for by Taco Bell, mind.
The dream.
But what can they do better, Dennis? I want to get your take, because you're really a smart guy and you understand what makes it so great. But you feel like you could probably give them some advice, some free advice.
So right now, there's a couple things. The price is absurd. The price sucks. For the money that you spend at Taco Bell for a family or two people even, it's to the point where you should just go to an independent restaurant. And I'm not saying that just as like I'm a food writer. Like it's you would get better value at going to like the Mexican restaurant down the street. I'm not saying that Mexican food should be cheap at all.
I don't think you're saying that.
Or food, but it's in my mind it's fast food. These guys have gotten their costs down to the lowest possible amount. Taco Bell knows what they're doing when it comes to that stuff. So the price needs to be reasonably set, and then. Right now they're also focusing on stuff like going crazy with new ingredients and kind of like the gimmicky stuff.
You're not into it.
Well, I like the ideas, but the thing is, like their bread and butter to me was taking the same, roster of ingredients like nacho cheese and sauces and beans and whatever, folding it into a different shape, giving it a dumb name.
Mm-hmm.
And then calling it something new. Because then when you develop something new, like a giant Cheez-It, that costs them money. So then we have to pay the extra money to kind of ties into the price thing.
So Dennis, we've shared meals in Chicago, in Koreatown, in the Korean restaurants around your city, and I haven't been here in a minute, and I haven't really given Chicago's Korean scene a closer look, and I want to soon. Like, what has happened over the past couple of years for Korean restaurants in Chicago? I know, Devon used to have quite a few, but a lot of Korean folks have moved out to the suburbs. What's good? What's happening in the Korean food scene in Chicago?
So you nailed it with that little side comment on the head, is that the Korean scene is not in Chicago anymore. It's going to where all the Korean people moved, to quieter, well, not quieter, but to the suburbs. So you're getting a lot of food out there. Like right now, it seems like bar food is really the thing because it's accessible to young people. So giant portions, a lot of fried stuff, a lot of things covered in cheese, a lot of spicy things. I think Korean barbecue might be coming with having a comeback, but more kind of like with a thoughtful approach to it, as opposed to just sort of like the greatest hits.
Yeah.
When you got Ajumma, like the old ladies coming around giving you stuff. It's less that and more kind of like the updated, like, oh, here's some young, cool people to just like.
I know Perilla, the guys who started that restaurant, opened up a barbecue place. I don't know if you've been to that one.
No, I haven't been there yet. And I'm sure it's high end and stuff like that. So it's sort of like getting a modernized tweak to it. But the thing is, like, that means that Chicago proper is mostly a dead zone when it comes to Korean food. And that's really, it makes me sad, but I mean, like, that's what like a lot of the diversity actually has left Chicago for food.
Yeah, I was sad to see Parachute close as well. Beverly Kim and Johnny, those guys meant a lot to the national Korean scene, and that restaurant meant a lot. And it closing made me sad, and I hope Beverly Kim can do a Korean restaurant again.
She's reconcepting it.
Great.
So there's going to be something similar, just kind of like a little. I think it's some kind of like slightly more casual style.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I should have Beverly on and just get it from her.
Yeah,
from her point of
view.
view.
Because I'm just reading this somewhere like anybody else.
But if we are going out to the suburbs, is there a restaurant you would point people to? I get asked about Chicago when we're on book tours and from media, and it's a city I mean, Dansen was the only one I mentioned, and I don't know if Dansen's even still open.
Yes, they're still open.
Dansen's cool. It's in our first book, Koreatown.
So the thing, I think I told you this when we last saw each other, but most of the Korean food I eat is at home with my parents.
Yeah.
So we don't go out to eat in terms of Korean restaurants much. There's this one place now that's sort of our new obsession, and it's an old school Korean restaurant, and it's in Niles. It's called Jangchungdong, and so it's an all-you-can-eat barbecue place, but you ignore that part. And we went because my mom went with her friends, and she discovered that they serve something called jokbal.
Oh yeah,
and jokbal, for people who've never had it, it's just like braised pork trotters, pork feet, and thinly sliced, and then you get all these condiments and stuff to eat with it. But the stuff you can usually get is at the grocery store. It's pre-prepared. It comes in a shrink-wrapped thing.
Can be quite dry.
It can be quite dry. That's the thing. And it's chewy. And when they make it fresh, this stuff is incredible. And that's one of their specialties, but they don't really say much about it. It's like not really that advertised. But when mom had it, she was just like,
jokbal is so great. I mean, it's like you've got gelatinous characteristics. You've got the porky. It's got like this long braise and kind of like aromatic braising liquid, and then you put like salted shrimp
paste and some garlic and raw garlic, raw jalapeno. You wrap it up in some lettuce and you just pop it all in one go.
Mm-hmm.
And that I just wrote about that for my Party Cut newsletter, which came out this morning.
Oh, cool. Check it.
So it was for the paid subscribers, but it was just like sort of a revelation that you just go to these places. You have no idea what's there because it just looks like a barbecue place. And so you're like, well, like, what am I missing? What did mom doesn't go out to eat very much. So like, I wish she would scope this stuff out, but going out to eat's expensive when you're retired, you know?
Yeah. More to come about Korean food in Chicago. I want to have you back on. We'll
Yeah, I think I just need to just spend a week just exploring.
Definitely. A few more questions. I want to ask you, who's the most underrated chef in Chicago right now?
So I didn't intend this conversation to all be Korean food stuff, but this is I would easily say Dave Park from Jung, which is a fine dining restaurant here in Chicago. He is one of the least spoken about chefs who is operating on a high level. And I don't know why people don't bring him into the conversation. I think it's partially because he's so reliable. He just executes on all levels. He just knows what he's doing. It's like a Korean French sort of with French technique kind of food.
Which is like the story of modern Korean food right now globally. I mean, we covered in the book.
Right. And his focus is really good with sauces and purees and stuff. And that's something that's not in Korean food. You know, stuff that isn't dressed with like beautiful silky things or gelees or whatever, which was what we had last time we went, which was recently. But why? I don't understand. I don't understand why they don't talk about him.
Let's talk about Jung. So he had the place out in the food court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they started, I remember, Dave's a friend of Dookie's and I've met him before and we had a really great lunch one time at Tank. I remember way back in the day. And like he did this thing out in the food court and it got a lot of press. And then he opened up a more like I would say centrally located brick and mortar. And you said he's just consistent, right? And maybe everyone takes him for granted a bit.
It's the consistency that makes people take people for granted, I think, you know, because he doesn't do that thing where he's like, oh, check out this new cool thing or the menu's different or like, you know, he just chugs along and makes the adjustments and changes out courses. And, you know, there's a couple greatest hits that stay on the menu. And his fiance, Jen, they just like between the two of them, they make this restaurant experience so easy. You know, just go in with jeans, you know, just like relax, laugh.
Yeah.
You'll hear laughing in the dining room.
Love it.
You'll hear people just enjoying themselves. And at the same time, you've got this really nice food in front of you. And for a tasting menu, it's really affordable. It's one of the few places we'll go for tasting stuff. I think it's maybe the only place we go to because I'm like too scared to spend that much money at places I'm not familiar with.
No, it's a really, really, really strong point.
Yeah.
That when you're shelling out, you know, several $100s, you kind of want to make sure it's a slam dunk.
Yeah, it's under a couple $100. I think it's $145, I think, for a tasting.
I was meant for two. So, yeah. So yeah. It's
yeah. No, in that case,
several hundred when you're dining with.
Yeah. So it's just easier and it's all just one tasting menu. So you don't have, aside from adding on drinks and stuff, there's really no like extra.
No, I'm into it. So off the plane from Chicago, where are you going? Where's the first spot? We're talking about from a tourist point of view. Where are you going?
You have been on a plane for a couple hours, if maybe not longer, you know? You want to go get a food that you eat while standing up. You don't want to be sitting. I had some time to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go to a place with a counter. Stools are optional. So, you know, all the best food in Chicago that is counter service is literally like, again, those like iconic things like hot dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, Maxwell Street Polishes, pizza puffs, which is a whole different story for another day. But you go to a hot dog stand because they serve all of these things and eat while you're standing up because you want to stretch your legs a little bit while you're eating. You want to bend your back a little bit, hunch over while you're eating it. And it's also that thing you can't get at home if you're a tourist, you know? So just go and get that right out of the way.
Which restaurant, which hot dog stand are you going to?
Oh, man. So in my opinion, the best hot dog stand this isn't a cop-out answer, but it's the one that's closest to you.
Yeah, no, fair.
Because
it's a little bit of a cop-out, I'm just going to say, but that's okay.
Well, the justification is because a lot of these places are supplied by Vienna beef.
Yeah.
Including the toppings and all the buns and all that stuff. And because of the fact that all these hot dog stands are supplied by the same company, the experience of the hot dog you'll get will be the exact same, even if it's a different mom and pop
There's a
shop.
general sameness.
Yeah. So the reliability is that you can almost not get a bad hot dog. You can get okay hot dogs.
But if they got the combination and it gets, the menu is right, it's going to be pretty consistent.
Yeah. As long as the hot dog's not like gray.
Yeah.
Like the rest of it is just piling all that stuff on.
All right. We've come to the portion of the interview where we're going to talk about The Bear, the TV show that is now in production on season 3 and season 4. It's taken over the world by storm. To you, what did the show mean when it came out a couple summers ago and recently it's won all these awards for its first 2 seasons? It's about to drop the 3rd season in June. What does it mean?
I think Chicago needed it.
I agree.
Of like we need sort of a pride shot in the arm, kind of like people here are kind of tired of hearing trash talk from everywhere, thinking that this place is just the worst, crime-ridden, whatever, But the truth is, it's not what everybody thinks from what you're seeing from the outside. I've lived here for so long. I'm still here. I haven't been crimed upon really. Like I'm okay. I'm this little, very, very vulnerable. I'm 5'6", 5'6" Korean guy who's just like you could just ask me for my wallet and I would probably just give it to you. I recommend you don't do that just so I don't cry. But
yeah. Let's not do that to Dennis. Let's not do him dirty like that. Yeah.
But Chicago really needed a point of pride. And so I think it was so unexpected because it was a show called The Bear that, even the title doesn't really make sense for a show that's about a restaurant. Like it's a show. So yeah, you get it later. But so we kind of needed that. And I think that's really, people got really proud of it.
Yeah. It's just great television, too.
Yeah, it's great television.
And Chicago, to use the cliche, is definitely one of the characters in the show.
Yeah.
And the fine dining scene is covered, but also the obviously the more casual side of Chicago food.
Yeah, and the one thing I did notice, the show is doing kind of the right thing to the natives because friends I know, just everybody online, they shit talk. Just like all the facts, like why did you have to point this out, or like this technically not there, and like it's just because they love Chicago so much. Like the people who wrote this probably don't live here, or may have lived here, but they did a lot of their research. So if it's not perfect, I don't care. Like all the B-roll and the establishing shots of the city, these are places we know.
Yeah. The store Sibs, Chris and Coco are from here. He wrote the first season in Mr. Beef because he knows the fam. So it's definitely from like a local's point of view.
Yeah, yeah. So there's so much you can do with making TV, and you have to make things fit sometimes that are a nod. But he just does it with love. I
want to talk about puppy chow. To me, you wrote it in Food is Stupid about it. It's one of my favorite Midwestern pastries. Truly an original if you're in the Great Lakes region. What is it? Why do you like it? Do you ever make it?
So puppy chow is, I don't know if it's a pastry.
I know, I'm like being
a
funny.
Candy,
it's more of a candy, right? It's more of a snack.
Yeah,
I say pastry like the pastry course.
Yeah,
like dessert. I mean, you call it dessert, but
it has a lot of names like Puppy Chow, Muddy Buddies, something like that. For my newsletter, I made Puppy Chow with actual puppy chow.
Yeah. Oh, shit. You did. Yes, you did. That's right. Oh, my.
Oh, fuck. Anyway. So the thing about it is that you can make it in your microwave, and it's just melting chocolate and peanut butter and together, mixing it and then tossing Chex in it.
I mean, goddamn, that's good.
And then powdered sugar, and then letting that dry. And I've never seen a dessert / snack like that where you can graze on dessert and still be a snack and still like it. It doesn't fit any category. Plus, it's also like all pantry stuff, which is 100% Midwestern cooking.
Yeah, right on.
literally just pull butter, whatever, like all these things you have. Like, and
Basically to make like a Toll House. You got everything there.
You have everything you need, and it only takes like 30 seconds pretty much. Like not kidding, under 5 minutes maybe.
It's an easy one. Would you ever sub checks for something else?
Oh, maybe pretzels or something like that. It's got to have a crunchy core.
Yeah, pretzel sounds good. I like that idea. Dennis, on This Is Taste, we asked guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
No.
The best fruit.
Asian pear. It's got to be ripe.
Gotta be ripe. The ones in the plastic at the H Mart, it's like 1 in 100 chance it's gonna be good.
Yeah, you have to let that sit for a while.
Let it sit. The worst vegetable.
I don't really have any. I like to eat all of them.
You like them all?
Maybe okra.
Yeah, okra's a tough hang for a lot of folks, I like myself included. The best dessert.
Anything with chocolate. I love chocolate.
Anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've melted chocolate on?
Probably dog food.
Yeah. You really do. You've eaten a share of cat and dog food.
I've eaten a shitload of pet food.
Yeah. What's cool about pet food?
If it's safe for your pet, you're a mammal too, right?
Yeah, yep. That's the interesting thing about cooking with it. Safe for Sam and Chuck. It's safe for you. All right. Your favorite American fast food chain that is not Taco Bell?
Culver's.
Why do you like it?
They do everything right. Except for their crinkle cut fries kind of suck, but
It's a challenge.
I think you can ask for them done well, which is something I'm going to ask for next time.
Just throw them in the fryer for an extra like 20 minutes.
Yeah, because they can be floppy, but otherwise everything there's amazing.
Favorite Korean dish?
Kimchi, but only because that's also kind of a cop out answer because there's a million types of them. Of kimchi.
No, there's like 1,000 types. Well,
yeah, like
300.
Something like that. Yeah, so like it's like it's just like saying cheese.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it's kimchi.
Yeah, right on. Man, kimchi is a good answer. I like that one. Your favorite cookbook of all time?
I don't know if I have a single one of them, but the Fast Food My Way series from Jacques Pepin. They're like you get to make these really nice meals or dishes or whatever in like under half an hour with things that you have, and they're so easy, like dumb easy. Every corner you can cut, but at the same time, this is like kind of high cooking for no effort.
Give an example of a dish.
He did this crazy thing. He took I don't usually make dessert, but he does this crazy thing with like canned peaches, where you take the syrup out of the canned peaches and you boil that down and then turn that into caramel. You just boil it down until it starts turning a darker color, and you pour some cream into it, and then later you let the peaches sit in it, and then pour that on pre-made pound cake.
Oh yeah, just go to like Sara Lee.
That's it.
Damn.
And just that having caramel, like with the stuff that was in the can.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like that's
it's cool.
Nobody who thinks about that.
Dude, Jacques Pepin Fast Food My Way. I thought it was like Jacques Pepin going to Burger King, but it's not that.
Nope.
No, it's like that's I don't know that book.
It's a series, so he's got
a series.
Yeah, and I think that's like it's like at a front to back. So I don't think there's going to be more of them, but
a cuisine you would like to learn more about.
Indian food.
Yeah.
It's just so broad and something I have no exposure to.
Yeah.
I know what tikka masala is and lentils, but I need somebody to help me with it.
One of the James Beard's semis or finalists is an Indian restaurant, Indian.
Oh yeah. I haven't been there, but it's fine dining. So if I go there, I don't think it's going to have the flavors, but it's not going to teach me.
Yeah, right on. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean, like the basics.
All right, fart sandwich. The last question. Your favorite sandwich?
You said it right there.
All right.
A fart sandwich.
A fart sandwich. Dennis Lee, so great catching up with you. Thank you for joining This Is Taste.
I don't know. It was good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Everything is super here. I feel like we have to get the whoopskadog, which is beef sausage basted in special sauce, served on a whoopska roll with grilled onions and a pickle. Notably, no ketchup is listed.
Can we special request it?
If you want to get kicked out of Chicago.
We're just gonna do the deed and just order it.
I just want to do a little scene report about who else is in the Superdog parking lot right now. It's a Monday evening, and there's 2 kids in like Little League jerseys, sport jerseys. And then there's 2 old guys in suspenders and us.
Mom, I'm out here.
Order here, sir? Yeah, man, we're gonna do a super dog.
Everything with peppers?
Yes, please.
Okay.
A whoopska dog.
Sure, the Wobskiro. Do you want the way we serve it with the sauce, the grilled onions, and the pickle?
Is that the way that you do it,
Yes.
sir? All right.
That's good. Okay.
Cool. And then can I get like just a regular hot dog?
Yeah, you mean without the fries?
Without the fries, just a regular
Sure.
hot dog with extra ketchup.
Okay, only ketchup, right?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
You want fries?
No fries, please. What do
Okay.
you think of the extra ketchup? Does that cause you
Yeah.
any kind of issues?
No?
You're cool. You're cool. So if I order a hot dog with just ketchup,
Yeah, we have a lot of people order with ketchup.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So we're beeping and we're buzzing.
yeah. Oh man, here we go.
Oh, the packaging is worth it.
So I was just reading the Wikipedia, and they said that Superdog is known for not ever placing the ketchup on the hot dog, and if you want it, they'll give it to you on the side. And true to form, we just got a bunch of ketchup packets.
Literally, they won't let the dog touch the hot dog. Or said they won't let the ketchup touch the hot dog.
They said that's your business.
That's your business.
This is the Whoopska dog, which is one with the sauteed onions. This is the just plain hot dog for Matt. Oh, they did put ketchup on
They
it.
did it for me.
Whoa.
We have to update Wikipedia. That's
Solid,
huge.
dude.
And finally,
plain one.
this is the Superdog. The box says, your Superdog TM lounges inside, contently cushioned in Super Fries TM, and comfortably attired in mustard relish, onion, pickle, hot peppers. And then it says, Hiya, from the bottom of my poor beef heart. Oh, wow, I'm an idiot. It says, Hiya.
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 Hiya, from the bottom of my pure beef heart. Thanks for giving me this chance to serve you. And it has a beautiful drawing of a super dog lounging on a lounge chair. Also, okay, they're all crinkle cut fries, which I feel like is not very common of a fry to see. And the pickles are enormous. They're like the same size as the hot dog.
I think the fries are really well seasoned, and I like them extra crispy.
Yeah, some of them look double fried. There's also like loose hot peppers in these boxes. I really appreciate the box in general. It has a separate compartment. It's like a bento box, but for a hot dog and french fries.
Although the one dog is relaxing in a bed of fries, I feel like it'd be a great way to be buried. Matt, we're going to bury you in a bed of fries.
Oh, really? Is that right?
Will you be okay with that?
A bed of fries? I mean, they'd have to be crinkle, probably. Ooh. This hot dog is intense. Okay, so we're driving away from the spot. For me, the Whoopsie dog was the best dog because the bun itself was unique in that it had a lot of seeds and it felt like there was some kind of griddling going on with the bun. I don't know if it was just the way that bun, it was like marked in a cool way. And I just loved the caramelized onions and of course the charred hot dog. To me, charred is the way to go if you have a choice.
Yeah, that is the kind of preferred way for me to eat a hot dog also, and that is the only one that's served that way. It's kind of like the heavily toasted, kind of sweet hot dog experience.
So the ketchup dog, to me...
This is not a real... Matt is saying ketchup dog as if that's a real menu item, but obviously it's not because we're in Chicago, so they don't list ketchup anywhere on the menu, but
Yeah.
Matt did ask for it.
And our guy delivered. He put a nice amount of ketchup on it, and I have to say, eating a ketchup dog in Chicago does not feel right. Overall, I'd say I'm more of a hot dogs wiener circle guy, but honestly, this was a real delight to come here.
Superdog is classic, it's well maintained, it's great people watching, and it's also right off the freeway as we're driving to Wisconsin, so it was exactly what we needed.
This is Taste is hosted by Eliza Abarbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is produced by Shalia Harris and Pat Stango and edited by Clayton Gumbert. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all cool things that are happening.